So welcome to our second quarterly consortium meeting. I cannot believe how fast this year has gone already. I mean, how are we already at the end of May? It just seems has just speeding up as we go. So I'd love to see, as you're introducing yourself in the chat, is our icebreaker this morning. Because we will have Jessica Flowers presenting today on resilience through creativity. What does creativity in action look like to you? What does creativity in action look like to you? Ooh, innovation and no boundaries, out of the box thinking, testing self, hands on. It can be dirty, messy, talking to yourself. Yes, authentic communication, imagination, imperfection. Ooh, I love that, Shauna. Hands on, everyone contributing new ideas. Everything can be a creative endeavor. Michelle, I love that. Sharing those new ideas with other ebbs and flows. Hopeful, freedom to share, free to explore the possibilities. Yeah, I love these. I think a lot of times when we talk about creativity and it is like, well, we have to do art projects. We have to sit down in a painting class. And I love to see that, you know, it's just so, it's so much more than that, right? Especially when we look at it through that trauma informed lens. Positive feedback from our families and what they need. Yes, energizing. Ooh, Karen, I think of creativity as not being afraid to fail. Yes. Well, fantastic. Well, thank you all for being here. We will go ahead and get started. Keep putting your what does creativity in action look like to you? If you are typing, just continue typing. Today we are going to mix things up a little. Normally we have a presentation first thing, but our board updates and our committee and partner updates tend to get kind of lost in the mix. Oh, look at that. Is this like automatically going? And so I wanted to have them first so you can see the board has been doing amazing things and really have taken the time to look at where are we going in the future, right? And what does that look like? And so Kavita will be giving those updates, and then we'll have our community and partner updates. We'll talk about some of the initiatives that we have going on right now with trauma sensitive schools. Then Jessica will have her presentation on building resilience through creativity, and then our announcements. So that is kind of just a lay of the land of what it looks like today. Kavita, I will pass it over to you to do our board updates.
All right. Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is having a beautiful day today. I have to warn you that my 4-year-old is home. I don't know if anyone remembers one of my first quarterly consortium meetings, and there were squeaky toys by dogs and puppies and kids. I'm hoping that today won't be like that, but welcome to my journey, and we'll see what happens today. So thank you. Wow, 66 of us. That is awesome. Good morning and welcome to our consortium meeting. I just want to have a moment to acknowledge Angie, who's doing a beautiful job as our executive director. It's still so fun for me, Angie, to see you facilitate these meetings and many others. Okay, board updates. Angie's totally right. Our board is rocking it. We've been really busy. One of our updates that we wanted to share with you is welcoming our 2 new board members, Trevante McLean, I believe he goes by Trey, and Judge Richard Weiss. I don't think Trey was able to be with us today, and I'm looking real quick to see if Judge Weiss is on. Angie, do you know by chance? Oh, Judge Weiss, you are on. I don't know how to unmute you from here, but I wanted to see if you wanted to say a couple words. Angie, is that possible? My tech queen.
Yep, I just gave him permission to unmute.
All right, Judge Weiss, are you there?
I am here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the ACES Consortium quarterly meeting, as well as the board. We're super thrilled to have you be a part of this movement. I know that for a long time you've been a part of this movement in the Lake Havasu area. Is there any words you want to share? I know I'm putting you on the spot. Anything you would like to share with the ACES Consortium this morning?
Well, I'm looking forward to getting involved with the rest of you and move forward trauma-informed care and, finding out more about how we can research ACEs and have it be a little bit more universal in our programs that we present to our populations.
That's great. I'm really, really looking forward to partner with you and have you on the board. So welcome. And thank you for letting me put you on the spot. Clearly you're used to being put in the spot. All right. Angie, do you want to maybe advance the slide there? Okay, awesome. So our board at our last consortium meeting updated you that we had our strategic planning session in January. We hired a consultant who was able to help us walk through what our strategic plan for the next couple of years will look like. I shared with you at our last meeting that these are our 4 areas of focus, and we're starting to build out our plan. Each board member is attached to one or more of these areas of focus. And so our board members are becoming champions of one or more of these areas, which is a little bit different than what we've done before. In the past, we've just shared all of the areas of focus, but now we're having champions for each of these areas to help us brainstorm what that work looks like and champion it forward. So for today, I wanted us to focus and get some feedback from you all. So get your fingers ready for that chat box, open it up, make sure you have it switched to everyone so everyone sees your messages. I want us to focus a little bit on advocacy. I will say that this is a little bit of a new area for our consortium and our board. We've done a little bit here and there, but we haven't had a concerted strategic plan around it. We're super excited to be in this space and move into this space. But man, I don't want to do that unless we are getting feedback directly from our membership around what does advocacy look like? Where do you want us to focus our area, focus our attention on when it comes to advocacy? So Angie, I think there's another slide after this, maybe. Thank you, awesome. What should the board advocacy's plan include? So think about it for a second, open up your chat box and share your thoughts. Where would you like to see thank you, Clyde, first up, awesome, thank you so much. What would you like to see in terms of the board focusing their attention in advocacy? Chime in and we will make sure to record all of the responses. Children and families, Jacqueline, you want to maybe chat and I don't know, sweetheart. Sorry. Jacqueline, I would love to hear more if you want to give us some more details, like what, when you say children and families, give us more.
And if you'd like to come off mute, just raise your hand.
Oh, thank you.
And we can do that if it's easier to share. Bob, do you want to give an update of kind of where we're?
Yeah,
what our priorities are?
I'd like to. I think we're still working on articulating priorities. However, we had a very, very productive meeting with the folks from CTIP, or the Campaign for Trauma-Informed Policy and Practice, kind of the national organization association. And I guess to me, having been kind of working in this arena for a long time, it just feels to me like it's just so important to align efforts nationally and at the state level. And I think they've got some great things that they're thinking about at the national level. And I think that, I think that really can cascade down to us at the state level and provide us with some guidance. But I also feel like, like every other state in the country, Arizona is unique and has its own challenges. And I think that the more we can hone in on those challenges and really figure out meaningful ways to address them at the local and state level, I think is really important. But again, I think with this stuff, your feedback is so important. Our membership feedback is so important. And I think we really want to build a system that can be driven by your input. So I think that's kind of where we're headed with it.
So well said, Bob. So well said. Thank you, my friend. I'm loving these ideas that are coming through. Thank goodness Zoom allows us to capture the Zoom chat for us after the meeting, because I don't think I could type fast enough to capture all of these ideas. Keep them coming. Also, I'm going to ask you, as you think about what you're putting in the chat box, be really specific, because we may not know the specificity of what you're looking for. So, Jeffrey, I love hearing your idea about the churches. Tell us more. Put it in the chat box or put your hand up. But I'd love to hear more about Haiti, when you talk about daycare workers or childcare staff. Tell us more. What is it? What is the advocacy issue, the policy issue that is a challenge?
And Jacqueline is ready to explain what she meant by children and
Awesome.
families.
Hi, Jacqueline.
Hi. So thank you for letting me speak. I'm
Of
having
course.
some trouble with carpal tunnel in my wrist, so typing a lot is a little difficult right now.
Okay.
So I had said families and young children, because the past 2 years have taken a huge toll on families, especially those with young children. So they've been experiencing, everything from illness to being home, the stress of having children at home, and the current concerns with their education that they're not getting or getting very minimal. And I know I'm hearing a lot more about younger children displaying and expressing, through, physical violence and behaviors, the effects that this has had on them. And I think a lot of families are at a loss to, what to do and not even realizing what's causing it. So.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jacqueline. I really appreciate hearing your perspective, and I hope your carpal tunnel feels better soon.
Me too. Thank you.
I bet. Great. We'll keep the ideas coming through. Zoom does give us the full Zoom chat will come through in a Word doc or in a document. Sorry, I'm losing my words, but so everything that you're saying will be recorded, and we can give that to the champions of this particular advocacy area. Our board meetings continue every month. This month, we'll be welcoming our 2 new board members. We're developing a new board orientation process as part of our strategic plan. So we are excited to welcome Judge Weiss and Trevante. And with that, go ahead, Jeffrey. I think I see your hand up, and it looks like Andrew may have unmuted you. So feel free to share.
Okay, so my background combines pastoral ministry in churches, 10 years child abuse investigations, and then 10 years in foster care, directing a state foster care program. So I've seen trauma from all those different spaces, angles, and now my whole focus is I just really want to try to bring this message to programming to give even children tools before they become youth, and families tools to negotiate the best outcomes for the children, as well as deal with all the unresolved issues in the congregation for the adults.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful, Jeffrey. Yes, I was going to say the same thing, Clyde. Thank you. You read my mind. Jeffrey, I would love to connect with you if you're not familiar with Sanghoon.
Yeah, we're friends. Yeah, I know.
Oh, awesome. Okay, great. So
Yeah.
I won't even mention that then. But definitely, I love your ideas, and I very much agree.
Mhm.
All right, keep the ideas coming in the chat box, even if it's later on in the meeting you think about something, please feel free to put it in the chat box or email Bob or myself or even Angie. Angie, I think that's all I had prepped for the board meeting. So board updates, I'll hand things back to you.
Yeah, I love seeing all of these ideas in here keep coming. It's nice to see that some of the ideas that are coming through are things that we are already working on. And we do have some committees around them also that it would be great if you would like to join those. So where we are going next is our committee and partner updates. So Pamela Campbell is going to give us the update on our interfaith committee. So Jeff, if you are not part of the interfaith committee, definitely join that one with her. Pam, are you ready?
Way to throw me in, Angie. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I will totally admit that when we were in our committee in our meeting last week, Sang-hoon was asking, so who's going to be able to be at the meeting? And everybody kept saying, well, I can be there for part of it. I can be there for part of it. And I just kind of sat back in the corner and I said, oh, all right, I can be there for the whole meeting. But I'm super excited to share our updates with you. As you mentioned, our interfaith committee meeting, we meet monthly. It's either the first or the second Friday morning. We currently are meeting by Zoom. And if anyone is interested, I will say that I came to the party not being sure if I was going to have a place because of things that I have been through, past trauma that I have had in regards to faith communities. But I was totally welcomed with open arms, and not only has my understanding of trauma-informed care been increased, but there's been a lot of healing that's gone on in my life. So the other members not only preach it, but they practice it as well. So if you're interested, please contact Sang-hoon, you at thefaithfulcity@gmail.com. I'll put that in the chat. Recently, we've been working on a podcast series, and in March, we recorded our first 4 episodes. I believe the first person that we recorded was Kavita. Yay! We have Marcia Stanton, Brenda Cochran, and Dan Steffen. We're in our first set of podcasts. We did our second set of podcasts, I believe it was yesterday. We have Robin Blumenthal from the Pantano Church in Tucson, Denisha Warkeiser from Reclaim Story in Tucson, and Aya Afo. I guarantee you these are going to be not only interesting, but impactful podcasts. I'm sure that we will be sending out information when they are up and ready to listen to. Michelle Stifler from our committee has been a powerhouse in driving through this initiative. Her and Sang-hoon have been moderating the podcast interviews. And thanks to the kindness and benevolence of Pure Heart Church and Ascend Church, we were able to do this without incurring any costs. So it really has been a collaborative effort, and we're super excited to be able to get it up and running.
Thank you, Pam. And Pam will put Sang-hoon's email in there, so you can connect if you'd like to join the interfaith committee. Really excited to have this relatively new committee actually for the consortium. And thank you for all the work that you all are doing, Pam. Okay, so our next committee is Creating Trauma Sensitive Arizona Schools, and our chair for that is Laura Wiggins. However, she is an educator, and she is currently so incredibly overwhelmed with the workload at their schools that it makes it nearly impossible for her to come to our meetings during the day, which I completely and totally understand. I think if anybody is connected to the schools right now, they understand how how the workload has affected our teachers, especially this year. Um, Post, middle, during pandemic, whatever we're calling it right now, right? But for the schools group, they take a break every summer, so we will not be meeting in June and July. We will be coming back in August. We meet the first Wednesday of every month from 4 to 5:30 over Zoom. And we typically do a training for 45 minutes to an hour and then a bunch of networking. I put the link to the work group page in the chat because all of our trainings and all of our meetings have been recorded and are posted on that page, so you can go back and see them. We have had some fantastic presentations. Dr. Jill Stam presented to us this month on neuroscience. We had a presenter from Idaho, her name is Joy, that presented on attachment and regulation. And we tend to think about attachment with infants and young children, but we don't look at how that attachment plays out as they grow older and into adolescence, and how the teacher's attachment style plays a part in it also. It was a fabulous presentation, and so all of those are on there. My ask for the trauma sensitive schools work group is that we just continue sending as much love and support to our educators as possible. For our rural community, we'll have Bob give his update.
Thanks, Angie. Just a couple of quick things. I think our rural committee has been very, very active, and I think we've kind of explored, like, what is it that we could really do in our rural communities that would help bring greater awareness to ACEs and to the initiatives of the consortium. And one of the things that we envisioned several months ago was, what if we could host ACEs, documentaries, do film screenings, do that kind of thing. So we've been working toward that goal, and it just happened to turn out that this month is Mental Health Awareness Month. So we kind of use that as an opportunity to provide context to the screenings that we've scheduled around the state. Currently, I think we have a list of 15 screenings that are happening in, gosh, it looks like 7 or 8 counties, and it's a whole bunch of different films. I think everybody's really excited about it. I think the other thing that we're really kind of pushing toward is, how do we get the conversation about trauma and childhood trauma and trauma-informed systems going in our communities. So I think we're kind of hoping that this will provide an opportunity to have some of that kind of conversation. So we have a whole great list of people all over the state that are working actively in this committee and have taken on this concept of doing a film screening and scheduling some follow-up conversations. So I think we're really excited about it. I will say this afternoon, we here in Casa Grande, we have scheduled our screening, and we're screening the film through the National Child Traumatic Stress Network, Remembering Trauma, which is absolutely powerful. It's on the website, it's free, check it out, it'll blow you away. And currently we have 65 people that have signed up for the screening. So we're super excited about the screening this afternoon. Not quite sure what's going to happen yet, but I'm thinking good thoughts. So I'm looking forward to bringing back to our next quarterly meeting information about how the screenings went, what we learned, all of those kinds of things. So I think that's it from the rural committee. So thanks, Angie.
No, thanks, Bob. And super excited about these community events. And once we are done with May, we do have that ability to expand these across the state, right? So we all know that every community is completely different. What works for one may not work for another. And so it's not just in the month of May that we are going to host this. We have a lot of support that we have created through the rural community group, so that we are able to continue having these community events throughout the year. And so we have facilitator guides that go with it. We have the training that kind of goes with it, and everything. And so keep an eye out looking for that in the future if you would like to host a community event in your own community, with, you know, how to create their community calls of action and what that looks like. The rural community doesn't have a specific web page up yet, but I did share the committee link in the chat. That gives you all of the different committee chairs. It shows when they're meeting. And for a lot of the groups, it'll give you the registration link to get to their next meeting, or how to email the committee chair there to be able to join. And so please feel free to register for all of them that you would like to. Our relatively new committee, we know the communications committee has been like on and off again. We finally have a committee chair, and I'm super excited about it. Sabrina Walton has taken over as committee chair for our communications group, and they have had a couple meetings before this. Sabrina, would you like to update us on the committee?
Sure. Thank you, Angie. We started, I think in April was our first meeting, and really branding out, just trying to network new individuals to kind of come back. And many of those that have attended in both April and May have been kind of, throughout the ACES Consortium, and just really wanting to bridge out into a new committee. Well, a rebranded committee. I don't want to say a new committee, because it was here, and and we've had a lot of back and forth. Really, our main goal right now is networking, and that's what we've really been doing, is trying to decide what the goals of this committee would be, where we see ourselves in a couple of months, where we see ourselves next year. We've had some conversations about creating a newsletter, who would be doing the newsletter, what would be involved in the newsletter. So they're very beginning conversations that we've had. We are meeting once a month, and currently we are meeting on the second Wednesday of each month from 12 to 1. We do have a lot of individuals that are partaking in like rounds at the hospital, and so lunchtime was really the best time for us to choose at that point in time, just for those that have been on. I have had a couple of individuals reach out and say that hey, that might not be the time. So in August, we're looking to hopefully, fingers crossed, meet in person. That's the goal, because we really do want to eventually be meeting in person, and it might change the time frame and where we are. But right now, June and July are set for the second Wednesday from 12 to 1, in hopes to really just bridge more awareness, have a larger understanding of communications, and really just share, even intermittently, the other committees' information as well, as much as we can, just to kind of get it out there, and get the word out there. So thank you. And Kavita, thank you so much. I appreciate you sending that in the chat too. I'm happy to be here and very excited to be a chair on this committee.
Thank you, Sabrina.
Yeah.
And no one's more excited than me, because I'm just really excited to have this piece kind of be able to move forward. Our Healing Historical Trauma Work Group is chaired by Ia Afo, and it has been on a small hiatus. And part of the reason is because Ia is our newest employee for the Arizona ACES Consortium. She is our project manager for our Maricopa County Department of Public Health ACES countywide ACES training program. And so she has been really busy with that program and has had to put the group on hold for a little bit, but we plan to get that one started back up with a little bit of help from Laura Lee, who's one of our consortium members, to get it all reorganized and hopefully start after the summer. So keep an eye out for that. A lot of work has been done by our training work group. Sandy, would you like to share?
Sure. Angie always puts me at the end, which is good, and it forces me to talk really fast. So we met for the first time in March and just had our second quarterly or third monthly meeting. Oh my goodness, maybe I should have had more coffee. Third monthly meeting. We are focusing on looking at the first and second quarter priorities. We spent some time in October, November of last year creating a strategic plan. Our focus, our conversation was very lively and awesome and energizing at our meeting last week, talking about revolution. So that word kept coming up. So hopefully, Kavita, that didn't give you heart palpitations that the training work group is creating revolutions. But our focus is on doing some revisions around our training of trainers, the trainer toolkit, module 2 and module 3. Module 2 is around toxic stress and trauma-informed care. Module 3 is around building resilience and protective factors. But really looking at all the feedback that we've gotten over the past year with our community of practice gatherings of our certified trainers and what's working and what's not. And so looking at restructuring those, including updating with current research, including elements of self-advocacy. We had a lot of conversations about how we have shifted with our first virtual cohort back in 2020, fall of 2020, with really setting a foundation of how important it is to be a trauma-informed trainer and create trauma-informed training environments. And so we had some really great conversations about including pieces about self-advocacy so that we are not setting up our trainers to feel like now it's entirely up to them to go back to their organizations and, and overhaul systems to create more trauma-informed environments. Also including pieces about self-care with the recognition, feedback from many different avenues that self-care is starting to be weaponized for many folks about, why can't you pull it together? Haven't you practiced your self-care? So conversations about what that means and how do we really get to the root of it. Focusing on healing communities and self-healing communities with, obviously that includes elements of self-advocacy. So lots of things going on, lots of conversations. Our target is to have these new updates done by the end of the summer, because our first virtual cohort that started in fall of 2020 is ready for recertification. When our certified trainers complete the training, they sign a trainer agreement that for 2 years and then participate in recertification. I think, we are currently at the tail end of our, what's it called? Is this our spring train the trainer? Yeah, our spring training of trainers. We have 27 participants and next Tuesday is the final week. So our trainers will be going through their practicum next week. So
Mike, I'm gonna get your backpack ready, okay?
If I forgot anything, let me know, Angie, but I think that's it. It's a lot and that's it.
No, I think you've summed all of that up. Kavita, you were off mute for a bit, but I couldn't tell if it was because you wanted to say something here or if because you called in you didn't realize that you were unmuted, so I muted you. But just let me know if you want to come back on. We do for our next training of the trainers is going to be in summer. It'll be on that upcoming event slide, but it'll be in summer, the end of July through the end of August. And we do still have room in that training of trainers if you are, if you would like to join us. Okay, Sang-Hoon is not here for our partner update with the Arizona Trauma Informed Faith Community Network. If you've been with the consortium for a while, you know that they started as a committee for the consortium, but have grown so large that they have really become their own organizational space. And so they are one of our partners. If you'd like to get updated on that, you can email Sang-Hoon. I know that it has taken a small hiatus because COVID has impacted the faith community so much during it. Our Southern Arizona Trauma Informed Network, Hillary Mahoney is the chair of that. If you are not familiar with them, she was not able to make it today. But they are located in Pima County. They also started out here with us at the consortium and do amazing work in Southern Arizona. I have put their Facebook page in the chat if you are in Southern Arizona and you want to connect with them. They do monthly trainings. They have a lot of events that they do, and they are in the process of becoming a more formal organization themselves. It's so great to see all of the growth that has happened and in those areas. So let us know if you have any questions on that. We're going to do a little updates on our trauma sensitive schools initiative. I saw, in our advocacy piece that there were a lot of comments there around our schools. That has been a conversation, right, that has been happening for so many years here with us. And we were really lucky to be able to be partnered with Vitalist Health Foundation, who gave us some funding to create the Resilience Coordinating Council. And so if you're not familiar with that council, that is a group of leaders in the state of Arizona, all across the state, including DHS and ADE, Access, Vitalist. A lot of the foundations are there. Virginia Piper Foundation is there also, to help put into action the 4 recommendations that Vitalist's Trauma Sensitive Schools report put out 2 years ago. And in that report, they identified that having an understanding baseline knowledge for trauma-informed practices for school staff and schools, focusing on school employee mental health and wellness, creating this Resilience Coordinating Council, and then also looking at funding streams and how can we better integrate the policies so that schools can get reimbursed for the work that they're doing at the schools around trauma-informed practices and mental health. That meets every month. What we have been working on in the past 2 months is we hosted 7 educator focus groups that we really looked at, that we were really asking about what does the employee health and wellness look like at your school for you? What are some of the things that we can help and we can bring to support you in your schools? And so we've been looking at that. It was absolutely amazing. Soon we will have a 1-pager released, and we'll put it on the website so that way everyone can see what that looked like. We've also been focusing on creating our youth curriculum. Super excited that Jessica Flowers, who's presenting in a little bit, has been assisting us with that and really working directly with youth to create a curriculum that talks to youth, not directly about ACEs, because we know that having that, what's your score conversation with adolescents is not the most appropriate way or trauma-informed way to go about it, but really teaching them about stress and resilience in their teen brain, and how that impacts them in their body. And they just completed their first youth focus group on the curriculum. And so we're really excited about that. We also have the Maricopa Countywide ACEs training that has been mentioned a couple times. This is a countywide plan that we are starting here in Maricopa County, but our goal is to be able to replicate it across the state. And we focus on schools, community organizations, the youth that they serve, and we have most recently been given the green light to do trainings for our legislators and city councils. And so those trainings are in the work. I saw some of that in our advocacy discussion too. Understanding that our legislators run the community or communities, right? If a community isn't a community organization, I don't know what is. They have, all that power and ability to really look at that community and create a healthy community. And so that is one of the initiatives that we are looking at. I will put all the links to that in the chat. Thank you, Sandy. The azaces.org/Maricopa is specific to our Maricopa wide plan. And I will get you the trauma sensitive schools report link from Vitalist when we get through this. Part of that trauma sensitive schools initiative is also hosting the Trauma Sensitive School Symposium with PFS Care at ASU and ADE. We're really excited about this. We have Mark Brackett is the keynote speaker. This symposium is virtual. It is free. It is for all educators. They have breakout sessions in the afternoon focused towards administrators, staff, and educators. And we have 513 people registered so far. So really excited about that. You can register for this symposium if you are an educator at the link that I am putting in the chat right now. Before we move on to the wonderful Jessica Flowers, does anybody have any questions on our board updates, our committee updates, the trauma sensitive schools initiatives that we are currently working on? Any questions at all for us? Thank you, Sandy. She put the Vitalist report on trauma sensitive schools, the link to that in the chat. Any questions? Jeffrey, we currently don't have networking with Minnesota, but we do, our part of, and Bob might have mentioned it before, the CTIP, which is our National Trauma Informed kind of coalition that has really brought people across the country together, that we meet monthly for that. But we're not working directly with them. The We Heal Us campaign, you can see it in Sandy's profile pic and behind me. That is a national movement for Trauma Awareness Month this month in May. And some of the bigger players in there are Pennsylvania and Illinois that have really kind of taken that spearheaded on. And I think a lot of us are doing so much of the work that networking outside of our state is a little bit more difficult, but we definitely try. We definitely try. Okay, well, if there are no further questions, I would love to introduce Jessica Flowers. She is going to present on building resilience through creativity. And if I know Jess, it's going to be more of a conversation than it is going to be blah. Here's all the information. So I'm going to stop sharing so she can share her slides.
Hey, everybody. I will share slides, but I will do that in a minute. So we'll take a break from slide sharing for a hot second and just say hello. I'm so grateful to be here with all of you. I think I've probably met several of you, but maybe not all of you. So hello, Kelly. I'm excited to be here with everybody today. Thanks for that great opening question, Angie. I think for me, that really made me see that we have a cohort of creativity believers here. And that is exciting to me. I think what I have noticed is that as people get, as work gets a little more, right? When we have less staff members, when there's a lot of things going on in the world, it's very easy to think about creativity as something that we put to the side, right? Because it's just an extra thing. And I believe, and I would imagine that many of you do too, that creativity is essential. And so what we're going to talk about today are some really simple ways for you all to bring creativity into your individual practice, into practices with your teams, and into practices with the folks that you support. So I want to say those things one more time so that you can help me stay on track. We're going to basically talk about the why, the what, and the how of creativity. I'll tell you a little bit about me before we dive into that. So I'm a daughter, a mother, a wife, a sister, an auntie newly, a dog owner, and I currently live in Phoenix. I come from, when I talk about where I come from, it's a culture of creativity. Both of my parents were theater majors. My sister and I were theater majors. I married a theater major. And we have several music majors in my extended family. So when I think about culture, that culture of the arts and creativity is something that I've been steeped in for a very long time. And I've learned so many important lessons through that culture of creativity. And so I began when I was very young, creating spaces for people to come together to be creative, first as a choreographer and a dance instructor, and then in theater. And then that evolved into my career at Free Arts for Abused Children of Arizona, where I was the program manager and then the program director for about 15 years. So I left Free Arts in November and have now started an endeavor with several different projects that all somehow intersect around education and the arts and trauma-informed care. So I'm excited to be able to work on a project basis with so many other organizations now, but so much of what I do and so much of the experience that I bring is from Free Arts, because that was really a space that showed me how the arts and creativity could intersect with trauma-informed care in a way that really made the arts accessible for everybody. I'm standing up right now because Zoom is hard for me when I sit. So if you see me swaying, I'm not on a boat. That's just where my energy needs to go today. I do want to pause for a moment before we dive in, because I think we're at a really transitional place in our year, and I think sometimes we don't pause to acknowledge those often enough. The end of the school year, at least for me and my family, even when I didn't have kids, was a time of reflection and transition and busyness, right? We're all rushing to get things done. Those of us that are associated with schools or grant cycles, it feels like we're rushing to get to the end, to get to the finish line. So I want to encourage you, if you are in that space, to just go ahead and find yourself in your body, shake your body out, take a couple deep breaths and relax as best you can. That deep breath was for me too. And I also want to acknowledge the many violent terrorist incidences that have happened in our country over the last 8 days that have inflicted some real trauma on our collective community, also on our individual hearts and souls, and certainly on our Black and Asian communities. There is a lot of work to be done, and there's a lot of healing to be done. And one of the things I was thinking about in preparing for this presentation is how during times like this, we can use creativity to bring kind of a crack, to insert a crack into some of those feelings so that we can insert a little bit of joy. And I think especially for those most impacted communities, being able to insert that joy, bring out that joy, feels really important. So with that, I actually want to start with a moment of joy. And well, let me tell you a story and then I'll share the slide. So when Angie originally asked me to speak, I got really excited and I quickly called up an artist that I met a few months ago. And I've been following her on LinkedIn for a long time. I've been like fangirl stalking her. And I finally got up the courage to be like, hey, would you meet me for coffee? And so we met at this coffee shop and we had this great conversation about creativity and about how healing it is on an individual level, and how when you create things in community, what can happen and the magic that can occur. And so my thought was to invite her to speak with me, and we could have that conversation in front of all of you, and you could feel that like magic universal alignment that happens when you talk to somebody in that way. But because she is awesome and involved in 1,000 things, she's actually going to be painting live at the Thrive Gala this weekend, and had a meeting during this time. So she couldn't be here, but she said that I could go ahead and introduce her to you via her website. So I'm going to share my screen and introduce all of you. Can you give me a thumbs up if you can see that, Angie? Great. I'm going to introduce you to my new friend, Taisha Harrison. Taisha is an incredible visual artist, a mixed media artist, and also a creator of arts opportunities. Her website is there at the bottom, and I am also going to share it in the chat in a little bit when I share some resources at the end. So if you want to boost, if you're feeling bad and you want to look at something that's going to make you feel awesome, go to Taisha's website, open up her art page, and look at all of the amazing pieces, because you can't, I think, look at that artwork and not smile and just be inspired and excited by her work. So we'll save our conversation for another time, but I did want you all to go ahead and meet Taisha. Angie, thank you for popping that in the chat. I appreciate it. All right, so this is, like Angie said, not going to be a Jessica Talks the whole time presentation. I definitely want to harness the creative energies of the group. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is take a minute and look at this picture and give me a response in the chat. What comes up for you when you look at this image? Noodles, fun, playtime, summer crafts. My brain, this looks like how my brain feels. Gummy worms, reindeer ornaments, messy color. I want to sort them. Possibilities. Stress relief, pipe cleaners are the best. Caterpillars, fun spaghetti. Wow, oh my gosh, look at the diversity of reactions. We've got people who are like, oh my gosh, I can't stand the mess. I'm going to need to sort these out and put them into their proper categories. We've got people that want to dive in. We've got people that want to just make some things, like maybe this has a sense memory for you. It reminds you of something from your childhood. Yeah. I look at this and wonder what it could be. And I also feel real hard that I would really like these to be sorted into some kind of order and wrapped up tightly. Awesome. So we're going to see what happens from here. This is kind of where we're starting today, and we're going to see where we go. Deanne says regulation tools. Yeah, for sure, for real. Best use of a colander. Yeah, I don't know if you can tell that from this image, but this is a colander. So sticking them through there and kind of seeing what happens, making that big messy nest. It's a great project for particularly folks that are developing those smaller dexterity skills. All right, so this is what we're going to focus on today. And I think I'm going to try to talk and present across all of these things, and then leave it up to you to peel off what you want for yourself. We know that practicing creativity individually is helpful and important. We also know the value of creating together. So you can think about maybe your team, a team that you lead at work, a team that you're a part of in a community organization, and you can think of the folks that you support. So maybe tell me in the chat real quick, which of those really speaks to you the most right now when you think about, ooh, I'd like to infuse some more creativity into that zone? Which one pops up for you? We got answers all across the board, friends. Okay. Okay, great. Well, we'll hit all those zones, and then you can feel free to adapt for your own self as well. All right, what are we doing today? Why, what, how? So I started to think about how I could articulate what is the most important thing for me to convey about creativity. And just as I started to type it, I found this quote. So I'm going to read it to you. And I'm going to ask you to reflect on it in the chat. So maybe you can start to compile what you think about this, what your opinion is. So this is by Mark Runco, and he is a professor for creative studies at the University of Georgia. And this comes from an awesome study, if you're a data person, from the NEA about how creativity works in the brain. It is fascinating. So feel free to use that link and look it up. So Mark says, I believe creativity is part of what it means to be human. We all have it. Most of us need to fulfill more of it. I'm going to read it one more time. I believe creativity is part of what it means to be human. We all have it. Most of us need to fulfill more of it. How does that speak to you? What do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? What comes up for you? I got a lot of agrees. Agree. Oh, I saw something fly by that I loved, which was adults. I'm going to find it. Hold on. Adults who say they aren't creative either forgot or had it taken away. Jacqueline, I'm going to say it again. Adults who say they aren't creative either forgot or had it taken away. That makes me feel a little bit emotional because I believe that that's true. And I believe it's easy to forget as we get older and we get involved with work and life and systems, right? And that part about had it taken away, how many of us and the families and children that we support have grown up too fast, faster than maybe they should have or could have. And taking that creativity away is part of that. And part of that too is those wounds that sometimes get inflicted on us creatively, right? If not physically, how many of us have sat in an art class and created something that someone told us was wrong, or it wasn't good enough, or it wasn't what was expected, or someone told us that we didn't have a great singing voice when we were singing at the top of our lungs in the car when we were 9 years old. And those wounds are real, and they turn into scars and they stick around when we're adults. And then we have to figure out if we can acknowledge those and move past them, reclaim that. Jacqueline, I'm copying that and saving that. Thank you so much for offering that up. Andrea says it's truly one of the best parts of being a human. It's part of being a human and what helps humans heal. Wow, that's powerful, Jacqueline. Yes, thank you. Creativity was in my womb. After 2 editions, I tore down the studio. Oh, Betty. Yeah, when it's taken away, it's hard to find again. It's hard to find again. We need to remember the creativity we had as children. Thought we needed to let go of that sense of innocence and creativity as we grow up. Yeah, we think that, right? And then we get even older and then we realize, oh, that's something I could have and should have hung on to. And Angie, thanks for putting that in the chat. Yeah, there's a lot in here, you guys. I think the thing to remember is, you know, what all of you said and what Mark is saying here is this is innate in all of us, right? From the beginning of our species, and it's part of what sets humans apart. It's in all cultures, it's in every culture. And even though, you know, culturally we've tried to put some conditions around it, right? We've created fine artists and fine painters, and there's certainly some skill that can be developed. That doesn't take away from the innate creativity and the idea that there is no right or wrong in self-expression that we had when we were kids, right? When we would sing in the car and in the shower until somebody told us to stop, or the things that we would make without any rules. So maybe that's the goal, right? We can try to get back to that. So because we talk so much about brain development and trauma, I thought it was really important to share this slide, which relates the impacts of creating to your brain, and some of the impacts that creativity and art making, and I'm using that term really widely. I want to make sure everybody knows that there's a paintbrush in this picture. We're not just talking about visual arts, we're talking about drumming and dance and music and cooking and creativity in general. And so the research I'm going to talk about and the things we'll talk about today are rooted in kind of that bigger definition of creativity and art making. So I'm going to read through these and then I'm going to ask you which one of these is speaks to you the most, is surprising to you. Are you more interested in maybe learning a little bit more about? So positive stress. So I love this. Sandy and I were just teaching the teens in the focus group about the 3 types of stress, toxic, tolerable, and positive. And I just kept thinking about how creating art gives you that opportunity to practice positive stress, working through that stress, problem solving towards that stress. And it actually helps strengthen those parts of your brain, those neural pathways. And actually when we did our focus group, many of the students said, oh, positive stress is like theater. Like when you're learning a role and you're getting ready to go on stage and you feel really nervous and you know you can do it, but your body and your brain feel really nervous. And I was like, yes, that's the practicing that can happen that then can lead to self-efficacy and help our brains and bodies know that we can handle that. We can do that again. Activating the reward center, that should say center, not seater, sorry, activates the reward center of the brain. So this was something I actually didn't know, but art making does activate that reward center of the brain, and can help kind of fulfill that need that we have to activate that reward center. Lowers cortisol, our stress hormone, which I have definitely seen that when I've facilitated groups. I remember walking into a group once at Free Arts. It was all teen boys and they were all over the place. They were literally jumping on the tables and running around and hitting each other. And our opening activity that day was mandalas, circular drawings, and we passed those out and they got to color those in and then kind of add to them. And 5 minutes is all it took for all of that energy to go whoosh. And you could instantly see those hormone levels relax and their bodies relax and their breathing slow down because of engaging in that activity. Connecting emotions and experiences. Art making is a great way to get things out, to process, to complete a stress cycle, and to understand what we're feeling when sometimes we don't have the words for those things. Bypassing the frontal cortex. So similarly, sometimes when our lids are flipped, right, we don't have that ability to verbalize what we're feeling. So even calling a friend and saying, hey, I'm feeling like this, and this happened to me, can be really challenging. But art lets you bypass that because we don't need those words. We can go straight from what we're feeling, our midbrain, our amygdala, onto the paper or into a dance or into a music making activity. And we don't have to access verbally. And it helps us, right, put that prefrontal cortex back on, get it back in charge. After we've worked through that, then we might have the ability to articulate and understand those feelings. And then last, we can achieve a flow state, which there's lots of research about being in flow, what it can do for your brain and body, how healthy it is for that brain to achieve that optimal flow state. So take a minute. We have a few comments here I'll read through. Anything else that stands out to you about some of this connection between creativity and the brain? Bob says, creativity puts it all together. We don't often think of using words creatively or singing, playing, acting qualify as creative arts. We don't consider those talents when you talk about creativity. Yeah, Betty, I agree. We get real focused on visual arts, which isn't everybody's jam, right? I love making without any rules. Does this include science, math, and other types of creativity? That's a good question, April. I think the particular study that I got this from was really focused on, they called it art making, but I would say that any type of iterative process would give you some of these, but maybe not all of these, right? Doing math and science might not connect your emotions and experiences, but it might still, if you're in your flow state when you do those things, it might lower those cortisol levels. Colors are beautiful for me, dressing colorfully, helping me to stay positive and active all day, being creative when dressing yourself. Oh my gosh, that's something we often miss. Betty, yeah, child workers often using art as a way to help children tell their stories, yes, and calm their brains and bodies so they can speak for themselves in court. Jacqueline says, when I'm doing paperwork and getting blocked, I doodle or go to my patio and water my plants. This disconnects the frontal cortex and helps me get back on track. Yeah, it's like a reset, right? It's like rebooting your computer or cleansing your brain is another way I like to think about it. Ooh, connections in nature and creativity. Woof, there's a natural connection there for sure. Someone else has my name. I don't know who it is. I'm seeing my name on their comments. Well, Betty, it looks like you're very active in the chat. So, so just keep it up. Kelly says, I love how creativity supports nervous system health. Yeah, so much possibility with health and helping regulate nervous systems. Absolutely. All right. I'm going to tell you a quick story about this piece of artwork. And then we're going to get into to some activities because I know we have to wrap up in just a little bit. So this piece of artwork, the story is, and I'm going to pull open some notes here because I want to make sure I get this right. And I want to let you know that I'm sharing this story with permission. So Darlene was the mother of a young person that we had in our free arts programs for a lot of years, like 10 or 12 years. And Darlene, she never really participated in free arts programs because at the time they were mostly for children and youth, but she would come around and pick her son up. And every time I would ask her, I'd be like, hey, Darlene, do you want to come paint this thing with us? Or do you want to take a turn at the mic or with the drum? And she would go, oh no, I'm not creative. I've never created anything. And so we never really forced her. And I've stayed connected with Darlene over the last 10 or 12 years. And when I left Free Arts in November, she came to my going away celebration and she presented me with this piece of artwork. And I said, Darlene, where did this come from? And she said, I made it. And I said, you made it? And she said, yeah, I went to Michael's and I bought some materials and I painted it all and I put it together. And I said, what, well, how, like, why did you do that? And she said, well, you know, I know I said that I'm not creative, but Free Arts has taught me that there's no mistakes. And so there you go. Just kind of matter of fact. And I was like, wow, what a long journey for this woman to go from I'm not creative to creating something to give away as a gift. And I just talked to Darlene yesterday. She called me and she's now moved to Texas and she's got some real challenges going on with her family and her marriage. And she talked about on Mother's Day having a conversation with her mom and leaving that phone conversation feeling hurt and confused and angry. But she couldn't even name those feelings in the moment. She said she didn't know what to do when she got off the phone with her mom because now she's living by herself. She doesn't have her son or anybody else to be able to talk to and unpack those feelings with in person in the moment. And she said, so I looked around and I found a pad of paper and a pen and I just drew a picture of what I thought and what I was feeling. And I looked at it and I said to myself, you are angry, Darlene. You just made an angry drawing. And she said, it helped me feel so much better and work out that that was what she was feeling. And she went on to tell me, she said, I found 4 canvases that I had from before. And she said, I think this weekend I'm going to sit down and I'm going to make 4 different canvases about all of the ways that I felt like my mom abandoned me. And I'm going to get it out and I'm going to get it out in front of me. And it's going to help me understand and move forward and process my feelings. And I asked her, I said, Darlene, how did you kind of how are you able now versus before to use the arts as a processing tool like this? And she said, you know, I learned through Free Arts that there is no way to be wrong in art. And that was a first for me. She said, my whole life, I've been told that I was wrong. And with art, I can just say, this is who I am. And I thought that's the perfect mantra, I guess, for creativity. You just say, this is who I am, whether it's in your clothing or the art that you're making or the experiences that you're sharing. All right, so let's get into some actual practical tools here. I have a few here that I'm going to offer out to you as ideas to get started. Because sometimes the hardest thing with this is, what do I do? What do I do for myself? What simple things can I bring to my team? Or what can I bring to the people that I support? So we're going to walk through one of these, and then I'll talk you through the others. If you've got a piece of paper, grab it. If you've got a pen or a marker or something, grab it. This is very simple. I'm going to have you take a hand and just put it on your chest and tune into your breath. Just pay attention to it. And after you've taken a couple breaths, if your eyes are closed, go ahead and open them. And I'm going to ask you to, I'm going to invite you to use your pen or your drawing pencil there and just draw that breath. See if you can connect the breath that you're feeling to something on the paper. Remember, there's no right way to do this. Great. So hopefully you have some kind of design on your page. Mine looks like this. I don't know if you can see it. And when you do this activity, if you were to lead this, you could do it as yourself, by yourself as a check-in. You could lead it with a group. Sometimes a nice thing to do is to do a few of these, and then maybe to, if you're in a group setting, to pass it, right? Because usually these end up looking like some kind of abstract drawing or a squiggle. Everybody passes theirs to the left, and then the person next to you creates something out of that. So if I receive this, I might take it, I might, I don't know, my brain's going to some kind of mountain or making some kind of journey right now. And then you might pass it to the left again and have the next person give it a title. And all of a sudden you've gone from drawing your breath and being connected with your breath and body to creating a community art piece that then comes back to you, and it is an actual concrete image and it has a title. So just one example. Another one, there's a picture of it here. This is actually an activity that I led yesterday with a friend of the ACE Consortium, Andy Fetzner, and I led a workshop, and we did non-dominant hand self-portraits. So that's a mouthful, but it looks like this. You take a writing utensil, again, whatever you have is fine, and you put it in your non-dominant hand, which does a couple things. First, it levels the playing field, right? Because who's awesome at drawing with their non-dominant hand? Not me. And it also connects our brain in a different way, right? I am now connecting the right side of my brain to my left hand because I am typically right-handed. So the simple instructions is just, use this one writing utensil or whatever art supplies you have to create a self-portrait, which is probably going to look a little bit abstract. Some people might draw an actual face. Some people might draw something totally different. Again, nobody's is probably going to be awesome or like work that they usually do. It's all going to be a little outside of the box. Once you have that basic outline of a face or whatever self-portrait means to you, then you could ask them to go ahead and put their writing utensil back in the other hand and add some detail to it, or talk about what is the part of that they like the best. They could give it a title. You could exchange drawings with somebody else and have that other person give it a title. So lots of ways you can kind of continue that experience. Mitigating meeting mind blocks. So this is a great way. I attended a workshop with someone named Abby Wilkie Mackey I think it was last year. She runs a shop called Mindflower Studio. And they're a facilitation group, but it's all about visuals. And she taught a real simple workshop about how to draw your experiences. And it was a lot about kind of mind maps and using images to say what you want to say. Because again, sometimes we can't say it. And we've all been in meetings where we're stuck, right? We're like, ooh, I know what I want to say. I can see how these things connect, but I can't say it. I can't articulate it. So mitigating meeting mind blocks is just an invitation to say to people in a meeting, hey, looks like we're stuck. Like, can we draw it out? Why don't you draw what you're trying to convey? And it's jarring. It's jarring to people, but usually it invites things to go in a slightly different direction. For co-regulation purposes, drumming is amazing. You don't have to have a drum. You don't have to be good at drumming. Simply having a right-left rhythm that maybe gets mixed up a little ways. You lead, and then you take turns and you let the person that you're working with lead, or you let somebody else in the group lead. Brings us that focus. It also connects our right and left brains, helps with that regulation. Some empowerment activities. So I wanted to share a couple things. Creating something that empowers people, whatever that is. During COVID, Sandy and I actually led a group together, and one of the first projects that we did, which I think is in the Flourishing Families curriculum, was to create a wand. And we wrote inside of the wand the things we could control and the things we couldn't control. And let me tell you, that was fun and frustrating because I wanted to control all of the things. But there's also something about making something that then you can use, right? And you can dance around with your wand, or you can keep your wand by you. And if you need a reminder of what you can control and can't control, you can wave it around. And we've also made anything that has to do with sort of being a superhero, having a superpower. This was an activity where we asked folks to think about something that someone said to them once that could have been taken as like an insult. And then they were going to take it and turn it into a superpower. So somebody told me once that I was too colorful in the way that I dressed and the way that I acted. And I took that and turned that into superpower, colorful girl, and kind of claimed that as my superpower. And then the last one I'll offer up to you is just an embodiment of emotions. And, you know, those of us that are trained in SEL know that bringing those emotions into our bodies, even if we can't say the name of them, to be able to say to somebody, you know, you look really activated. Can you show me how you're feeling right now? And they can embody that. Again, it helps open up that conversation and that understanding. All right, some simple tips for you guys when you're doing this. I think keep it simple. Again, you don't have to be an artist. You don't have to have instructions. You could give kids a colander and a pile of pipe cleaners and say, let's go. Let's see what you can do. Establish a purpose. So making sure that there's a reason for what you're doing and you're clear on that, right? You're not giving kids pipe cleaners and a colander because you want them to build the Eiffel Tower. You're giving them pipe cleaners and a colander because you want them to explore. The purpose is to explore and to express creatively. Explore unusual moments. So like we said in a meeting, also ruts that we fall into, right? A new person starts at work and what do? We have a welcome lunch for them. Yay. Well, what if we didn't have a welcome lunch? What if we had a welcome snack or a beverage? And at the same time, we created a community art piece to welcome them and learn more about them. Addressing expectations. So we do want to make sure, this is particularly if we're working with folks that have experienced trauma, that we're very clear upfront about number one, there are no expectations. There are no rules, right? Anything that you do is correct. Also, we want to make sure that we address safety, that we address that there might be things that they feel uncomfortable doing and that we will give them choices. They can choose to participate, they can choose not to participate, and all of those things are fine. And that goes to our fifth one, which is to provide as many choices as you can. And that doesn't mean bring 1,000 materials. It just means give folks the opportunity to engage in a way that works for them. There's our mess to sort, our creative possibilities again. And these are some resources for you. You might want to screenshot this, and then I think maybe we can send it out or it'll be in the recording. There's some resources on my website, acreativeleap.com. I've got 3 pieces of curriculum in there and a best practice sheet that lists out a lot of the things that I just breezed through. I Am Undefined Art is listed there. It Starts With You, which is a 3-session workshop series that Andy Fetzer and I are leading together in the month of June. So if you want some guidance, if you're like, eek, I can't quite do this by myself, I need some support. We're going to meet 3 Wednesdays in June from noon to 1, and we're going to make art together in community over Zoom. So bring yourself, bring your team, visit that link to sign up. And then Abby's website at Mindflower Studio is there if you want to learn more about creative facilitation. So that is all I've got. I will send it back to you, Angie, and thank you all. And please do reach out. My email is on there. So if you have other questions or things you want to discuss, I know this felt a little rushed at the end, but I'm happy to talk to anybody offline.
Oh, that was so great, Jessica. That was so great. Would you mind I started doing the It Starts With You workshop. I would love if they had the link in the chat, if you wouldn't mind putting that in there. The Creative Leap link didn't work.
Okay, I'll get some good links up in there.
Fantastic. Thank
you all
Jessica,
for your participation.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Okay, so we're almost there. I know it's 10:55. We've been sitting for a while. I think it was quite apropos to have Jessica in there and give us a little bit of a break. So we are left with announcements. We have some really cool events that are coming up. One is our Save the Date. So this year, our 9th annual ACES Consortium Summit is going to be November 7th through the 10th. And we are still deciding on what that looks like as far as whether it's going to be in person, whether it's virtual. We are leaning towards virtual with regional meetups to be able to attend the conference. And so keep an eye out for some of that. The November 7th part of the summit is going to be a medical provider half-day conference. And so one of the really cool things that we've been able to do through our Maricopa grant is we will be partnering with Phoenix Children's Hospital. A lot of you may know Dr. Amy Shoptow and LaDawn Du, to be able to provide pediatrician training, pediatrician provider training on trauma-informed care. And with that, we are going to be able to have a medical provider half-day conference. And that is going to be on November 7th. November 8th will be our pre-conference that Prevent Child Abuse Arizona will host. And then the 9th through the 10th will be our ACES Summit. So super excited to have that. This will be recorded. And so you'll be able to go back and watch Jessica's presentation if you would like. Just to let you know, we also have the upcoming 28th statewide Child Abuse Prevention Conference that is happening on July 18th through the 20th. Just to let you know, that conference is just about sold out. So the last time I talked to Claire, they only had about 35 spaces left for the full entire conference. The pre-conference, however, is hosted by us, and you can purchase that separately. So even if their full conference, or not if, when their full conference sells out, you can still come and join us at the pre-conference. It is in person at the Hyatt Regency Phoenix. It will be from 1 to 5:30 on July 18th. We will have a keynote on reimagining what it means to be a direct service provider. And screening of the documentary, What Lies Inside, Healing in the Face of Trauma. And so that pre-conference is $60. If you are a paid consortium member, I have sent out the discount code for you. If you have not received that, let me know. And this week, if you are a member of the consortium, so that is if you are a general member or if you're a paid member, almost everyone on our mailing list is a member of some sort. But if you are not, you can still sign up at the azaces.org website under click to join us and sign up for a membership. You should have received an invite from Circle. So Circle SO is a platform that is going to allow us to do some networking, and it's great. We've had a lot of people join us already, introduce themselves. As you can see, we have different communities. We have child welfare networking, organizational leadership, education networking, criminal justice, and medical provider networking. We have a special space for our paid members. And this will be a space. One of the things that our consortium members have asked us over and over again is we really enjoy the networking. We used to always meet in person, right? Pre-COVID. When COVID happened, we went virtual, and it was really great for us because we were able to reach more people across the state. But we also lost that networking piece that made the consortium so great for our in-person. And so Circle allows us to be able to continue with that networking. We'll be able to update you throughout the year of different events that are happening. We're looking at doing some other events and trainings through the Circle platform. So really just kind of, this is our space. This is our networking space. This is our space to connect with each other outside of just our quarterly meetings every year. Here is a list of our upcoming events that you can find on the website under the meetings and events link. We have our Trauma Sensitive School Symposium And I don't know why it automatically goes forward. We have a trauma sensitive schools symposium on June 7th, like we had said. We have our ACEs champion training on June 21st. For those who are not familiar with the champion training, it is from 9 to 2. It is really a deep dive into ACEs through videos and small groups. It's absolutely amazing. We take on everything from understanding what ACEs are all the way to how does this look within our communities? What does it look to be flourishing? What does a resilient community look like? How can we support our adults and create those adults around us, right? That are those safe and supportive adults. You can register through that, register for that through our website. We have the pre-conference. Our next ACEs training of trainers, like I said, is July 26th through the 23rd. Mark your calendar for our third quarterly consortium meeting on August 18th. And that is from 9:30 to 11:30 in the morning. And then in the evening-ish, like 4 o'clock, we have our Understanding ACEs and the Impact of Childhood Trauma. Those are trainings that we do quarterly. So with that said, I would love to know if there's any new business that you would like to share with the group. Is there something that your organization is doing or trainings that you're aware of that you would like to have the group be aware of? Clyde, I'm going to allow you to talk. I see your hand up.
So, good morning, everyone. This is Clyde Miller from the HEAL Coalition, Helping Rich African American Lives. One of the activities that we have coming up is that we produce webinars, monthly webinars. The one we have coming up on May the 26th at 6 p.m., we're inviting Joe Uhals to come and share with us the ins and outs of vaping. Through some of our focus group, we found out that's one of the things that parents would like to learn more about. So we're providing a webinar on vaping on May the 26th at 6 o'clock p.m. And also later on this summer, we have some COVID-related activities going on. We're having a movie event. We are having a memorial dinner. And then later on also, we will be working with the National Basketball Association. During their summer league, they're going to have a team here in Phoenix. And so we will have the opportunity to present to first of all, bring youth to the game, and then later on present to the youth on any type of subject that we choose to do so. So we have all those activities coming up. And yes, Jeff, I will send all this information and links to Ms. Burleson. It'll take me forever to put it in the chat because I'm a slow typer. So that's it. But the main thing is the fact that we have the webinar coming up on May the 26th.
Perfect. Thank you, Clyde.
Thank
And
you.
yes,
I have to leave because I had to go to the coalition meeting down in Tucson.
Oh, nice.
I'm thankful this virtual. So I'm getting ready to leave and go to that. So everybody have a good day.
I feel that. You too, Clyde. Travel safely. Jacqueline?
Hi, thank you, Angie. So I wanted to let those know that are in the rural area, the White Mountain area. We do, Northland Pioneer College has a series of trainings that we've been offering for the past 3 years. We're going into our last round and hopefully starting in person in August. It's an early childhood learning collaborative series. And there's 2 parts. I do the early learning and preparing children for 21st century skills. And Becky Benedad does the understanding trauma and resilience in young children. So I wanted to let people know about that. It is a first things first funded program, so everything is free. The series runs it runs starting in July through the following June. But the way it is set up is the learning sessions are in person. They will be 3 all-day sessions, but they're bi-monthly. So we'll have one in August, one in October and one in December. In between, we work with participants on working on their goals and what it is that they want to accomplish through the trainings. They're very hands-on. We provide all of the materials, we provide lunch, and I will have the information out, the flyers and the links soon. So I'm including my email, and I should have added my phone number as well for those that would be interested. The trainings will be offered in person in Holbrook, Springerville, and Sholo area. We try to do a triangular different areas where people could either come from those areas or not have too long of a drive. So
thank you, Jacqueline.
Thank you.
And Tammy Zuckala put in the chat that they have upcoming trainings on, hold on, I keep missing it, on brain injuries at the empowermentcentersearch.com. I did put the link for the webinar Clyde just talked about. I put that in the chat also. Is there any other business trainings that we would like to share today before we go? Pam?
Hi there. Yes, I wanted to share that in the beginning, when people were sharing ways that they would like to see advocacy take place, I saw that there was specifically working with DCS staff, working with foster care agencies. My organization, Chicanos por la Causa in Parenting Arizona, I am the facilitator for a parenting workshop. It's 6 weeks long, and because I have the background in the trauma-informed care, I infuse a lot of that into the workshops that I teach. We use the active parenting of teens curriculum. But anybody living within Maricopa County, if you are a biological parent, a step parent, a foster parent, a kinship caregiver, an adoptive parent, or a professional that works with foster youth, you are eligible to take our workshops. We're doing them both virtually. We're working with 2 high school districts right now to get our classes into their school district for their parents and their staff beginning next year. But I would absolutely love to partner with anyone who would like to know more information. I will throw my email and phone number in the chat.
Awesome. Thank you, Pam.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, well, thank you all for joining us for our quarterly meeting. I know that there are lots of links that have been put through the chat. This is recorded, and within 24 to 48 hours, however that looks, and we will have it posted on the website along with the meeting minutes that will include all of the links that were in our chat so far today. And we were really excited that you joined us today. We'll give you all 21 minutes back in your day since we are scheduled till 11:30. So I hope you take that time, at least a portion of that time, to do something for yourself and not just jump right back into work. Have a great day, everyone.